Welcome to Be Now, where we discuss what is happening in and around Brampton. My name is Don McLeod. Well, tonight, actually this afternoon at 4 o'clock, a special meeting was called. Another special meeting. We seem to have more special meetings than specials at Wendy's. No mention of this was circulated on social media. It was called, I think, yesterday, and the agenda was listed. Part of the agenda is Brampton U. The other one is a vacating seat for Charmaine Williams, who won her seat, and she's going to Queen's Park as an MPP. Like I said, there was no mention of this on social media. I see councillors, Martin Medeiros and Jeff Bowman, tweeting out pictures today that they were at new IHOP opening in Brampton. But a situation where you have a special meeting and there would be an information for all the residents to understand what's going on, then they don't actually tweet anything out. So it's kind of interesting that they want transparency and accountability across the board in Brampton, but they tweet out an IHOP photo, but not this special meeting. As I said before, the special meeting is to discuss what to do with the vacant seat, which Charmaine is going to be vacating. She hasn't vacated the seat at this time because she's actually voting on a couple of motions in Brampton City Hall as we speak. As far as I know, Martin Medeiros said Councillor Williams gets to choose her successor. No, she doesn't. That is a council decision, and it falls under the Municipal Act. Councillor Williams is one vote, and she doesn't actually say who her successor should be. Once she vacates a seat, then it goes back to council, and council decides what to do with that seat. Apparently what the bloc wanted to do is they want to bring back an ex-councillor, and that councillor is Elaine Moore, one of the more disruptive and caustic councillors in the last 4 to 8 years. She gave nothing but grief to Linda Jeffrey. Before that, Susan Fennell. She actually testified against the city. The city was being sued by a local developer for $28 million, according for the city hall and that whole debacle there. And she sided with the developer against the city. And that's the councillor they want to bring back to City Hall, as well as slagging certain councillors on social media over the last couple of years. I don't know. This does not seem the perfect councillor to bring back to City Hall, but they want to bring it back. How they're going to do it, I don't know, but we're going to follow that going forward. Martin Medeiros, was claiming that Be Now or Brampton Focus was giving a false narrative on all sorts of things going on at City Hall. Well, Martin, here's the thing. If you use the Donald Trumpism as fake news, we are not a fake news outlet. We report the news on what it is. And if you think we're spreading false narratives, then you can come on our show and debate at any time and any subject. I have no problem with that, right? I'd like to know what you consider spreading false narratives is, because everything that we put down on paper, everything that we post, and everything we talk about is basically a true fact, right? And it's like for you to come out and say that we're spreading false narratives on a regular basis, it not only does disservice to media, but it does disservice to the whole understanding of you cannot cherry pick what is news and is good for you. You were on this Be Now about a month ago with Pat Fortini talking about the situation going on at City Hall. You claimed that democracy was, a blowtorch was taken to democracy at City Hall and there was no block and so on and so forth. Well, since that happened, you had no problem coming on. It reminded me of a situation years ago when Elaine Moore and Gail Miles wanted the Guardian, the Brampton Guardian, and Peter Sisconi. They wanted to vet questions. Well, they got a ton of backlash against that because basically it's a ludicrous idea and it's not freedom of the press. What did you do? Oh, yes, I remember. The only outlet that you could actually come on and talk about it in a rational way and ask the questions on why you wanted to do it was Brampton Focus. You had no problem coming on Brampton Focus when you ran into problems with the Brampton Guardian and you're looking for another media outlet. But when it doesn't suit your narrative, then you switch back. Sorry, you can't cherry pick. It either it is or it isn't. And Martin Medeiros is no different. You can rail all you want and talk about it all you want. You mentioned in the meeting that, this is a media outlet that got money from the city. No, we didn't actually. Brampton Focus was running for 3 years prior Neighborhood Watch program. We asked for funding to run the Neighborhood Watch program for a year. That full funding went towards Neighborhood Watch. None of it went towards Brampton Focus. We are a nonprofit organization. And if you think that basically because the city gives an organization money, they can't report everything? You gave $700,000 or more to the Brampton Guardian. Every year you give over $500,000 to the Brampton Guardian. And what? So are they in your back pocket, or are they a false narrative, or are they do your bidding? The Brampton Board of Trade lists basically the city as a sponsor, but they come out and they delegate when it comes to budget time, and they talk about different things on what is good and what is bad. Are they not supposed to do that? You cannot cherry pick, and you can't say this is what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. As someone, as a politician, should be transparent and accountable. I'm sorry, but you know what? If you don't like the narrative, that's too bad, right? The narrative is always there. You have an opportunity to come on and talk about it. But to say this genuinely, that, you know what? Oh, well, we gave them money and, they're sending fake news. Sorry, that doesn't happen. We have little enough coverage on what's going on in Brampton right now. As Karen Dancy said, she doesn't get the Guardian. I don't get the Guardian, right? I know a lot of people that don't get the Guardian, but you still send money to them. And as a nonprofit organization that's been operating in the city, trying to do good and illuminate, that's a false narrative as well. And by the way, it's like there's a whole bunch of different things that you said that are totally wrong. Once again, your narrative is out to lunch as well. So that drama is being unfolded right now at City Hall. They've gone in session twice. God knows why, but it is what it is. And we'll be following what the final decision is in regards to Elaine Moore taking the seat. As I said before, the Municipal Act is very straightforward. The last council meeting, legal mentioned it, CAO mentioned it, city clerk mentioned it, and right now it's time to introduce Fazell Khan. Fazell, how you doing?
I'm good, Don. Sorry, everybody, we're out of time. Don took up all the time. So
anyway, welcome, Faz. One of the first things I got to say, because Martin Medeiros thinks basically you were part of Brampton Focus. You were one time, but you're not a member of Brampton Focus. You're not a director. You're not an executive director. All you are is a volunteer with Brampton Focus and BNOW. You have been that way for 2 years. So again, Martin and anybody out there thinking that Fazell Khan is part of Brampton Focus, you're wrong once again, right? So
what? So well, I am a volunteer, Don.
You're a volunteer, basically, yes, but you're not sitting on a board of directors.
Other than our summer students who get funding from the federal government, they're the only ones getting paycheck. We do this, we started it in 2015 after I was going to say failed, but after we immersed ourselves into local politics. And we've been doing it ever since, because there's the local representation of residents and their ability to know what's going on has just continued to dwindle over time. So we need people. And every once in a while and you and I, Don, we argue about why can't we get more residents speaking their minds? Why can't we provide opportunities, or why don't residents contact us to share whatever's on their mind? And I don't know if they're scared to, if they don't know how to use the technology. Even on Facebook, I'm seeing less and less.
Well, we'll get into that, because that ties into the provincial election that we talked about in our turnout in Brampton, which was the lowest, right? Can't leave Don alone. I know, it's ridiculous. So, there's a whole bunch of things that are happening in Brampton. It's funny, the last meeting that was held, the special meeting that was held by the Block 6, I think one of the quotes in Martin Medeiros was like, we have supreme control. We can do what we want, right? That's what he said. And I'm thinking, no, Martin, you don't have that supreme God complex, as Michael Paleschi says. It's the residents and the voters that basically entrust you with it. But you don't have carte blanche. You are not the Supreme Court. You can't do whatever you want. You do it basically for what you want across the board. And that's for residents. And actually, you may have the final say in some regards, but you don't have the final say when it comes to complete control over the council. So, you can say things, but it doesn't make it happen.
So we're getting a number of comments. Let's start with Mike's. Sarah Singh for mayor, so we can talk about that. I actually think Sarah is not a good campaigner. She's a good politician. Like, I loved when she spoke at the legislature and stood up for Brampton. But I think she was invisible during the campaign. And you guys can correct me if you're wrong. Karen, I know you were hoping for another outcome, but
well, let's talk about the overall, right? I mean, 5 ridings in Brampton. They all went to the Conservative Party of Canada. The Conservative Party in Ontario. So all 5 ridings, they went blue, which is fine. That's the will of the people. But the voter turnout was we had the lowest voter turnout in Ontario. Our activity rate, which is 33%, was actually the voter turnout rate. It was 33, 34. And it was like, that was the lowest. So as a popular...
That's almost as low as the municipal politics, right? And Darshan mentions here, a lot of people believe city politics is less important, when in fact it's probably more important.
Probably more important, absolutely, 100%, right? I mean, provincial politics, and we've said this before, it's not important who the candidate is, because Doug Ford, he comes down, he tells you what to do, and you do it. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, we would have had Pragmeet Singh and Amarjot Sandhu in the first 4 years, not leaving the legislature when it was time to vote for Brampton University and Brampton funding for the hospital in the first term. They wouldn't have done that, because Doug Ford didn't want it, so they walked out and they did that. So provincial politics and federal politics, you follow the leader. That's the way it goes. But municipal politics is probably
but that's why it's also important what's going on now with, let's say, Mayor Brown trying to go to the national level. And I know, Mike, you were complaining about this, and I think you're trying to do something about it, about Mayor Brown's promising to stay here, and now he's campaigning for federal leader. But is there anything better that can happen to the city than if Patrick Brown becomes leader of the Conservative Party and then becomes PM? Is there anything better than that for our city? I argue there isn't.
Well, bring up Justin King's comment about
Sarah, about Charmaine.
No, he's got the one, Medeiros, Fortini, and Dillon. Yeah. Now supporting more on the pager attempts to block a future LRT. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, Martin Medeiros was for it. He was the one that wanted that turnaround. He wanted the LRT link. Fortini, I can't remember if Fortini was in support or Dillon was. But I know Elaine Moore was against it. Jeff Bowman was against it. Michael Palesci, I think, voted against it as well. And then you had the other councillors as well. But yeah, it's an interesting, right?
Yeah. So Karen makes a comment here. Patrick Brown lost 2 more supporters today. I'm curious.
One was Kyle Seaback. Kyle Seaback threw his support behind PP.
What?
Yeah.
Really? That's interesting. What happened?
Don't ask me. I mean, it's probably all internal, but he came out saying, I support PP as the next prime minister of Canada, which in my mind, either Kyle has lost his mind or, like somebody is going to give him something.
Huh. That's interesting. And, I think if you guys were following the Conservative leadership, I was helping to support Mayor Brown's attempts to get more memberships. His campaign is claiming 150,000 memberships.
Yes.
And then the Saturday after, the Paul Revere campaign came out and claimed 311,298 or something, all like a very specific amount. So maybe, that bit of marketing is working. It's a lot of people who...
Well, we'll see. And I know how the voting goes and how it's regulated. You can have 500,000 members, and if they don't vote or if they're different ridings, for every riding you get X amount of points. It's the ridings that matter, not the membership.
Yeah, like if Patrick Brown had 150,000 people from Brampton registering, he's not going to win. I think is less of that. I think he probably got a huge support in Brampton, but every riding in the Conservative race is worth 100 points. So every riding has an equal weight. So,
yeah.
So I suspect Pierre's ridings are very concentrated, but who knows, right?
We'll find out.
I think it's a competitive race. So we've got a couple months to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. So Ivan mentioned people don't vote, but the Conservatives won by a percentage. Well, Ivan, yes, they did. Like I said, they're all 5 ridings are gone blue. So we're going to find out basically if over the next 4 years anything happens in regards to that, or
If we don't see shovels in the ground for expansion of Peel Memorial or plans for a third hospital, like Ivan, you've got to agree the next 4 months, people are going to be wanting change if the economy continues sinking the way it is, and if we don't see real progress in the city. So,
well, I'll put it this way. What do people talk about? They talked about the hospital, the university, insurance rates, right? That was a big one as well, right? These are things that, healthcare is important. Brampton's been underfunded for years and years and years. I don't care, conservative, liberal, NDP, well, they've already failed everyone, right? So it's like, it's a big problem. Let's see. Apparently we got 4 people aligned, let's see what happens if nothing happens.
5 people.
5, sorry, yes, 5, yes.
Well, plus all of Mississauga too, right? I think all of
5.
Peel.
Yeah, absolutely, all of Peel. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's, like getting her done, but we'll see what's getting done means. So going over, there's somebody brought up, Mike Dancy brought up, is Sarah Singh going to run? This is the other thing. You've got candidates that lost. Where are they going to go and what are they going to do? What's the speculation, right?
Let's hear what people think. Brampton will continue to get zilch on their Ford.
Okay.
So again, I say that if nothing happens in the 4 years, all Peel Conservatives are gone, and we'll replace them with who knows who.
Yeah, and Justin, 250 beds is nothing. We're still way behind the ball. We still need, if we had 250 beds tomorrow, we still be 1,000 beds underfunded. And the problem is the Bill 124 with the nurses, and they can't get their raises. They're 1%. The firefighters, the firemen, they can get any kind of raise they want, but the nurses, they're structured only to 1%, which to me is a ridiculous scenario. And you're hearing more and more about what's going on with these nurses, and they're leaving, and you have delays at the hospital. So it's not going to get any better anytime soon. That's the way it looks, right? So
I guess I should take this. There we go. Okay. Comments today. Great to see some engagement.
It'll be interesting to see, because you have Garatin Singh, you have Sarah Singh, and then you have Kevin Yardy, who actually ran as an independent. Those were 3. So any of those 3, and we have a municipal election coming up. Sarah Singh could run in 7 and 8, where Charmaine Williams is going to vacate. Garatin Singh, he could run in 9-10.
And there's lots of people that could be running for mayor too, right?
Yeah.
All 2 of those people, plus somebody like Martin Medeiros. Maybe Elaine Moore is going to run for mayor. What do you think about that, Don?
Yeah, I think I'd move out of the city.
So we've got Mike and we've got the Dancies competing against Ivan Macri.
Okay.
Ivan says, yeah, for sure we're going to have a hospital. And the Dancies are thinking, nope, we're not going to have anything in 4 years. So,
well, you won't have the 413. That's going to take at least 7 to 10 years, right? And it's like, you can say you're going to build a highway and plow over the Greenland and everything else. It just doesn't happen overnight. You're talking about a major swath and a major development. I mean, holy Christ, you can't even fill potholes in 2 years in this city, right? Or across the 401 when you drive. What makes you think you're going to be able to build a complete highway in 2 to 4 years?
One of the things we are going to have is an LRT up here in Ontario to the Shoppers World.
Yeah.
And it's going to be funny because Doug Forders and the Conservatives are going to be there claiming success when we all know that had nothing to do with them. Right?
That was absolutely the Liberal government.
That's the only thing that might be completed in 4 years.
Well, I know remember the last council meeting, they were talking about they want to extend the LRT up to the Brampton GO station up here. Again, let's see what happens, right? There's a lot of talk. I mean, the thing is that people get delusioned with politics, right? They hear a lot of talk, but they don't see a lot of action. They hear a lot of selfies, or they see a lot of selfies on social media, but any kind of hard, kind of in the ground, this is what we're doing, they don't see that, right?
I agree with you fully, Susan. I'm not a fan of Cody. There's a whole sorts of issues we have with him, but he made sense today.
Yeah, well, you know what? The seat is there. It's not going anywhere. I mean, Pat Fortini mentioned that, we have We have so many calls. We have so many calls. Now I have to take them. If we don't get a replacement, I'll have to deal with it. Okay, well, I remember Gail Miles took a 6-week vacation one time. Remember, to go to Greece in the last council meeting? And Pat Fortini was a councillor. What did you do, Pat, when Gail Miles took 6 weeks off? What happened then? Because basically we're the same thing. We're almost 6 weeks away. Right?
Well, and if you recall, I think the councillors' offices all got more funding, so you should have more resources. So it's even less of an issue now
$1 million worth of funding. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. The next thing we want to touch on is what happens to the NDP and the Liberal parties on the provincial level. They got destroyed. I think the Liberals got destroyed even more than the NDP.
You and I, Don, were talking about the Liberals when they elected Stephen Del Duca. We thought, like, what are they thinking? It's the same thing that'll happen if the federal Conservatives elect Pierre. He cannot get elected.
No,
they're going to elect, the same thing with Del Duca. Zero charisma,
yeah.
And he didn't compensate in any other way for the zero commitment.
Yeah, and Andrea Horvath, I'm sorry, all you NDP supporters, but she passed her, expiry date 4 years ago, right? She had ran 3 campaigns. She didn't win all 3. She was closest. The closest that she could have won was the last campaign, and she blew it. And it's like this one. All I heard, I get press releases from the NDP every day. NDP has a plan to solve homelessness. NDP has a plan to solve this. NDP has. Okay, well, where were these plans for the last 4 years, right? Reviving the downtowns is Susan Jackson is a lost cause. Well, they're rebuilding everything, so it's like my suggestion when it was running: you take a nuclear bomb and rebuild it.
Good luck on that one, Karen.
He's got to have a seat. He doesn't even have a seat, and the thing is, it's like, you know what? I don't think he's I'm sorry, but you know what? If Jagmeet Singh actually loses his federal, I can see him coming back provincially. But other than that, I don't see anyone for the NDP that's really stepping up and is someone that's dynamic, just like the Liberal Party. Who's a dynamic leader for the Liberals? You tell me. Name me one name. Throw one out there.
I know none.
I don't know. I didn't see anyone.
That's why everybody likes Ford, right? He's not your average politician. He'll just kind of, shucks kind of. It's right. That's, I don't know. There's probably a name for that kind of shucks.
Well, yeah. I don't know, but, Guelph Humber, the 5,000 is still on track. I think
the relocation of Rogers downtown. There's a lot of condo developments coming down there, which I think is good, but a lot of people have issues with, especially if you're already living in the downtown in a condo. It'll block your view.
Yeah. Kristen Wong Tam.
Yeah, I think she's got a good shot.
You think so, eh?
Yeah. It's not a fresh face because she's been on Toronto.
Yeah, she's been there forever. She's been a politician forever.
Provincially, I think a lot of people don't know her, and she comes with she's a good communicator, and that's what you need for this job.
Yeah, but you got a little bit of dynamic, personality would help as well. I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't see it from Kristen Tam Wong. But I would love to see someone a little bit younger. I mean, I know that what was it? I saw Tyler Watt, I think, was running up. He was big on social media. I think it was he's a nurse, and he was running for the Liberals up in Kawartha, I think it was. To me, he ran a good campaign. He was, from what I saw, he was a good communicator. I think someone young is what you need. Someone outside the norm.
Did he win?
No, I think he lost actually. But
so to me, you have to have a seat. So you have to have won a seat that you just recently contested. Otherwise,
no, I realize that, but I mean, you need someone like that. You don't need. There's no sense in regurgitating someone from the last. Kathleen Wynne and McGuinty government. To me, it makes no sense whatsoever.
I think Sarah would have made a good leader, but again, she didn't win her seat, so to me, that strikes her out.
Yeah, and you have to be front and center, right? Mike Dancy will do it. All right.
No.
Mike, I think the party would go under just like the federal Green Party.
You don't have to dig too far into social media to find reasons why he can't be that person.
Yeah, that would be about 5 minutes in, and the party would be like, "You're not the right candidate. I'm sorry."
Yeah. All right, Don. It's we're 25 minutes in, which is kind of the max we want these shows to go to.
All right, so you know what? We're going to keep following what's going on with the special meeting and the seat, the vacated seat or non-vacated seat, and the
The
Elaine
meeting was
Wars.
still happening, by the way, when we started.
I know. They go into camera for a lot of meetings. So, you know, as I said before, false narratives and fake news listed by a counselor is not a good way to get on the good side of media. But, you know, if you want to run that narrative and have that point of view, that's up to you. You know, that's something that, you know what, the freedom of the press and the sort of individuality and taking a look at both sides. We had you on again with Pat 14. You had the opportunity. So you have the opportunity. If you want to come on and talk about what false narratives we're spreading, I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk to you. All right.
Butilla, that's part of the problem. I've seen her social media a little bit. I like it. Butilla Karposh. I forget what her background is, but she looks also, like a very dynamic leader. So
where is she in Toronto?
Yeah, somewhere in Toronto. Yeah.
Okay.
Final note for me too, right? I personally do not appreciate being singled out at a council meeting by counselors without having the opportunity to respond. So I would request from city councilors that they not refer to me or use my name without giving me the opportunity to respond back. So that's all I have to say on that.
Well, you know what? You'll have plenty to say. And as I said before, you know, going forward, the municipal elections are coming, so there'll be plenty of opportunity. But we report what we see, and everything is factual. If someone's got a problem, then you can always email me. Let me know if you want us to cover a topic. I'd be more than happy to cover it. All you got to do is email, and we'll cover it. Right? If there's a video that we can get done on it, we'll do the same thing. So until then, we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.